The following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of Oshkosh Media, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hello, my name is Edward Kastner for another edition of Making Happen. Beside me this morning, I have Chanda Anderson from Caramel Crisp.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. And do you want to talk about what do you do at Caramel Crisp? What's your responsibility?
Sure. Caramel Crisp is a popcorn shop. Caramel Crisp is caramel corn, and it's been around since 1933. Don't I look good for 85 years old?
Right?
Yeah. So I took it over about 12 years ago, and I moved it to the location it's at now, and I've expanded it quite a bit. It's a lot more than popcorn. We do cookies. We have a full menu. We have a gift shop. We have a toy store. We have ice cream.
Now, was it there used to be only one Caramel Crisp, or was there multiple locations at one time?
There were 5 different locations. Back in the 50s, I believe it was, the Oshkosh Caramel Crisp sold off 4 or 5 franchises. And there was one in Fond du Lac, there was one in Milwaukee, there was one in Colorado, I think, one in Utah. I don't really remember. I believe there's only 1 or 2 of them still open, but there were a number of franchises sold off. That was not part of my family. My family didn't purchase it until the 80s.
So, was there ever more than one here in town, or?
Nope, there's always only been the one Caramel Crisp in Oshkosh. There's really not, it's very challenging to just sell popcorn, so, it needed to be expanded. It did close for a number of years while the downtown transitioned a little bit. And when I took it over, I actually am an occupational therapist by background, and I took it over. I left therapy back in 2007 and took over Caramel Crisp and moved it.
I knew that because I work with Stacy, and Stacy said that you had done therapy, so I knew that. So.
Yes, I am. I'm not any longer licensed, so I am no longer technically a therapist, but I used to be.
And why the name Caramel Crisp? What was behind the name Caramel?
Caramel Crisp was the name since 1933.
Okay.
I didn't actually name it, but the Caramel Crisp is caramel corn because we make it in these copper kettles the old-fashioned way, and this big air popper that people love to watch. It's very mesmerizing, but it's the way to make it from back in the day. The same recipe as 1933, still made in the copper kettles, still made with the air-popped popcorn in the big popper. So it's kind of nostalgic.
How many different kinds of caramel corn? Would you even know?
Well, we have, in caramel corn, we probably have a little over 24 different varieties. We have some drizzleds, and we have an Oshkosh style, which is a cheese, Wisconsin cheese and a caramel mix. And then we have dark chocolate sea salt drizzle. We have white chocolate raspberry caramel corn. We have double caramel cashew caramel corn. I mean, there's a lot of different varieties that we bring out in caramel corn, but we also have roughly 30 flavors of other popcorn that's not caramel corn.
Like what kind of other flavors?
Oh, we have Parmesan garlic, and we have dill pickle, and we have Asiago cheese, and we have fruity flavors like strawberry and blueberry and raspberry. And then we do occasionally do a drizzle, like a lemon raspberry drizzle, and different things like that. It's all kind of seasonal, and it turns over.
What would you say your best seller is?
Oh, hands down, our best seller is classic caramel corn. We sell so much just classic caramel corn. And then the second is the Wisconsin cheese.
The cheddar, okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of vision or dreams did the family have for the store? Did they ever think it would be this big?
Well, no. When I opened Caramel Crisp, actually, when I left OT, I had wanted to do cookie store, like a specialty desserts type cookie store where you're like happy birthday. And I did the business plan, and a cookie store in Oshkosh just didn't pay the bills, and nor did a popcorn shop pay the bills. So, as I developed the business plan more and more and more, I knew I had to add food in order to make it work with the numbers and pay the bills and start to turn a profit. And then as I grew and became more successful, I started to expand the business. So I didn't come out of the gate the way like some businesses do, where they have everything all at once. I added it slowly and grew it slowly as I could afford to, and it's always been able to keep me in the black then.
And so how did you do that? Did you do community surveys, or how did you know what the community wanted?
Well, they tell you.
Okay.
The community is pretty, willing to share their opinion with you,
Okay.
Especially now with social media being such a means of communication. They're not shy about sharing stuff with you. Mm-hmm. I also ask, when we first opened Caramel Crisp, if the doors were unlocked, I was working the counter for 5 years, for 7 days a week. Every second that business was open, I worked the floor. Now I have 30 employees, so I'm not up front as much as I used to be.
What kind of struggles or family support did you get from this?
Well, my mom gave me the name, and she gave me a popcorn popper and the 2 copper kettles, and the recipe, obviously. My husband, although he works a full-time job, he would have to come in before and after work and help make product, and he had to do that for a very long time. Wasn't until maybe the last year or so that he's been able to cut back his hours. Now he just kind of comes in at Christmas time. Christmas is very, very busy, so at Christmas time it's kind of all hands on deck because we work a lot of hours and we sell. He just makes caramel corn from 5 in the morning until, midnight with other people helping, and that's every day during December. It's just nonstop, and literally we'll have people waiting for the batch to be cool enough to get bagged, and they'll just take it all.
It comes out that much in a hurry. People want it that much, huh?
Yeah, at Christmas time.
Okay.
No, during this time of year, it's a little slower. We probably only make 6 to 10 batches a day. But at Christmas time, it is nonstop. So it's 4 or 5 batches an hour that we're turning it over at Christmas time.
So it takes a lot of family dedication, and if he's willing to come in before he goes to his other job, right?
Yeah, my husband loves me very much.
So,
so that is why he does it. Yeah.
And do you have any struggles financially? Because when you first open a business, you're not sure how it's going to go.
I can tell you that opening a business is very challenging. I was lucky. I had won a business plan contest, so I got some money there. The downtown bid business improvement district assisted me quite a bit with opening the business. I had to pull a loan to get a hood. My landlords were amazing, so I had a lot of help, a lot of community support. The first few years are very challenging for all new businesses. They say it takes 3 to 5 years for a business to actually start paying its bills and not being in debt, and it does take that. And you have to put in the time. I think a lot of people think that opening a business is easy and you just make tons of money and you travel and whatever, but I work about 12 hours a day, and I typically work 7 days a week. Now on Sunday I only work 6 hours, so it's kind of like a day off.
And did you grow up in Oshkosh, or why Oshkosh for Caramel Crisp?
Born and raised in Oshkosh, and Caramel Crisp originally opened on Main Street,
Okay.
and it was actually on the west side of Main Street, and then in the 50s it moved to the east side of Main Street, and then like I said, I relocated it to the city center.
What advice would you give to a local business owner that wanted to start their own business, or?
Be patient.
Be patient?
Be patient. Be willing to put in the time. You should probably have a support system, be it a husband or a partner, or a spouse or a partner, I should say, so you could still work another job because there's insurance issues, and you just have to be very patient because it took a really long time. I didn't have employees until my third year, and at that time it was just because I needed lunch help. I couldn't do the lunches; they were busy, and I couldn't do them by myself.
Okay. And how does Carmel Crest give back to the community?
Well, we try to give back as much as we can. I admit that we've been, I hate to say burned, but on a number of occasions we've had people ask for donations that didn't actually use it in the way it was meant. So we have cut back to just organized 501c3s now. And then the other thing is I'm a firm believer that organizing events and promoting a strong community builds a strong structure for businesses. So I like to do a lot of community stuff. It kind of like if you don't have the money, put in the time, So
and that's why I do this show to promote and educate and to give back. So on that note, what inspired you to start Oshkosh Into the Night?
Oshkosh Into the Night started about a year ago. I was on Facebook just kind of surfing, and someone had brought up Bazaar After Dark, which is an event in the Fox Cities, and they were questioning why Oshkosh didn't have Bazaar After Dark. And Bazaar After Dark is done by the Fox Cities Chamber, and I reached out to them and just asked them why, and we are outside of their jurisdiction. Oshkosh is outside of their jurisdiction, so they couldn't bring Bazaar After Dark to Oshkosh.
What is Bazaar After Dark?
Bazaar After Dark is an art-focused kind of fresh air event that promotes economically challenged areas in the Fox Cities. So it moves around to, I believe they have one coming in Brillion, and they had one in Menasha, but they focus it in different areas that have some challenges for small business. We were unable to do that because Oshkosh has an ordinance that you're not allowed to drink in the streets, the sidewalks, the parking lots, or pathways. Mm-hmm. The Fox Cities does not have that ordinance, so they can have theirs on the street. Mm-hmm. So once all of that kind of fell into place, we knew that it had to be in a park, mm-hmm. and so we started pushing it more towards the park. We also aren't funded like the Fox Cities, so we didn't have to make it we couldn't have it in economically challenged areas, so we had to put it in a park. So I decided to kind of promote it for quality of life things, and we will push the money, if money is made, we'll push the money back into public art, the zoo, different 501c3s that which is a nonprofit, if you don't know what a 501c3 is, is a nonprofit. And we'll push those back into different quality of life things to build a stronger community.
What kind of backing does all this take? Because I'm sure it's not a small backing,
It's not a small backing. I was fortunate enough that the bid was willing to give me some startup funds for the first event, and then I'm hoping that the first event will generate enough money for the second event. We're still looking for a primary sponsor for this event, and we would love a presenting sponsor, but just to get it started, we are actually asking. I've called in every favor I could to get, so Fox River Brewery is bringing in the beer, and Vines and Rushes is bringing in the wine, and I have asks out to Manila and to the Roxy to do the food, and then the craft vendors, we're pushing those out to get art vendors into it as well, and then we have a number of artists that are coming, a spray paint artist, a graffiti artist. We have bands, we have different musical performers. We have a mural artist coming. We have some watercolor, water painters coming. And we have belly dancers and fire performers and aerial performers coming from Appleton.
So Oshkosh is done pretty well as far as stepping up, huh?
Yeah, it all is coming together really well. I'm really excited. It's going to be a great night. We have one scheduled for May 23rd. It's the Thursday, 5 to 9. And then we have another one scheduled for September 19th, again, 5 to 9 on a Thursday.
So is it what you envisioned? Like, when you came up with the idea of like, I want to do this, did it all come out? Like, did it all come... did you draw something up or write something up?
I didn't. I just kind of wung it.
Okay.
Like I said, I talked to people, I asked for help. I wanted it for Oshkosh. It's going to be a fun, fresh air event. I reached out to the director of the farmers market. I reached out to the owner of Art City Signs, Carmel Crisp, whatever it takes to pull this together. I have asked. We're working with Propel for some volunteers, which is our chamber young professional group. So, you really just do all the asks and hope that it comes together. And, weather permitting, and it turns into an amazing event. I'm hopeful that it will continue to grow. I would like to see it more often, and I would like to see more 501c3s step up and benefit from this project.
Because we kind of lost Sawdust Days, and that was in existence for 47 years. So hopefully, because I know there's a lot of people upset that Sawdust Days is no more. After 47 years, we lost it. So hopefully this can help it a little bit,
Well, in Sawdust Days, that is a huge loss, but I also understand the problems, the challenges that it went through with policing and keeping it safe in the area that it was. I know that the Rotary is looking at bringing another type of event, because Hazel Street's going to be closed, so the fireworks can't be in the park. So I know the Rotary was looking at moving and doing something in the Leach for the 4th.
How many local artists do you have that are going to possibly come? Because you said about local artists painting and...
Yeah, right now we have 6 live performances going on at 10 live performances going on. Let's keep in mind that art can be a writer, art can be
anything.
It can be a chef. It can be...
It could even be a mime, right?
It could be a mime. I mean, art can be a magician. That's an art. There are many forms of art. Authors are artists. And so I have an ask out to a photographer friend of mine. I'm hoping that he will do a photography tent. And then I was just talking to one of my children authors at the store, and I'm hoping to get an author tent. And just people to promote their art,
Of what they think art is, because what I think of art is, what you think of art is, they may have a different form.
Yes. Now my art is in the form of making cookies, because we have the best cookies ever. But so that's my art. Just kidding. But there are different forms of art, and I don't deny anyone, if they can sell it to me as an art, I would love to host them, because I am not a modern artist doesn't mean that other people don't love that and don't see the value in that art. I am really excited for our muralist and our spray can graffiti artists. There's 2 different, we're going to be building huge walls, and then they're going to be doing the performance art while they're there. And fire performers, I mean, I don't know how to do that, so I'll be interested into watching that as well.
It's almost like what you can find in a circus.
Yes, and honestly, that's how I've been kind of describing it. I'll say to people, this is kind of like an art fair meets Cirque du Soleil. Because it will, we have aerial dancers coming, and they bring in a piece of equipment, and they do dancing from being suspended, and they come from Kaukauna or Appleton, up north. And like I said, we have a number of musicians who've reached out and want to be at the event as well, because again, music is an art.
What kind of staff size do you need to help you out with this? Because, like I said, it doesn't happen Just you.
Yeah, and I can tell you it's me, and it's a very small committee, but as I said, Propel is going to assist us with some help on site the day of. So I'm getting volunteers from them. I, again, have asks to all of my staff and former staff, who I'm still pretty close to, to see if they will come and help. And then for the September 19th one, we have the assistance from the zoo, because originally that event was going to be in the zoo, but we decided to just do them all at Opera House Square, at least for this year, probably for the first few years until it's very well established. And then we may try like Oshkosh into the night at the zoo.
So how is the zoo working with you in cooperation?
Well, they'll provide assistance for volunteers.
Okay. And how many? What kind of needs do you have yet? What kind of volunteers are you looking for yet?
Some physical labor would be amazing. So if someone was available like from 3 to 5 and then 9 to 10 to help set up and tear down, that would be fantastic. There'd also be nice just to have some people who are walking around, because we will have alcohol and it has to stay in the square. We do have security hired to also do that, but it's always nicer to have more people instructing that. We'll also have signage saying keep the alcohol within the square. All of these things will help to keep it successful and keep our police department from having to be worried about us.
And I'm going to do a little backtracking here, but how did you come up with the name Oshkosh Into the Night?
Well, we were hoping to play off of the Bazaar After Dark name, and because of their funding and to not confuse their event with our event, because I was hoping that we could eventually merge with them, but it can't happen. It just logistically with the demographics, it cannot happen. So we were trying to come up with names that played off of nighttime, and we didn't want it to be sound like an art fair, because that then targets a different demographic that we were going for. And then we were struggling because it's not after dark, it's barely dark, and so we threw around, and so we finally landed on Oshkosh Into the Night, and because it's going into the night, because May 23rd, it will be barely dark at 8:30. So it's just duskish.
And what kind of turnout are you hoping for?
Well, Bazaar After Dark gets 6,000 to 10,000 people. So I'm hoping for 2,000 to 3,000 for our first event. We've had a lot of people very interested on Facebook, so we're hopeful that it's a free event. So it's a free fresh air event in May. So if Mother Nature cooperates with us, I can only see this being an amazing event.
So if somebody's coming down there, well, what will they? So they'll see aerial performers, they'll see painters, they'll see poets, they'll see storytellers, they'll see all kinds of different stuff.
I hope so. I don't have a storyteller. That's something that I'm just working on. So if anyone out there is an author and would like to start working on a book table, that'd be great. Maybe I'll work with the library.
Well, I have some plays that I've written, so maybe I could bring that down and
there you go.
And just, talk about playwriting or whatever.
That's right. I mean, there's many different forms of art, and again, we're trying to touch on all of them. And we do have, like I said, we have the music pretty well covered, and we have the performance artists covered. We also are partnering with the Grand Opera House because, it's a venue that is for art. So, they're helping with us as well.
What kind of different musical acts what kind of different music will be down there?
Well, we have a band coming, and I apologize, but I didn't, I can't really remember what type of music they told me, and now I don't really remember. And then we have a bass player and a mandolin player coming, and we have some country music, and we have some jazz music. So now they're just going to be dispersed around the area. It's not going to be a featured stage.
Do you ever have any drummers, like, any drummers come down, because, like Indian drummers or like
I have not had the drum circle reach out to me yet.
Okay.
I am not sure. We're still looking. I'm still taking
Well,
applications.
I'm doing a shout out on my show. The Drum Circle, please come down to Oshkosh in the night or contact Chanda Anderson for that. So.
Yep. You can reach me at Caramel Crisp. My email is CARAMELCRISP@gmail.com. And you can just email me, or you can contact us through the Facebook page, Oshkosh Into the Night. And, we are still taking applications for artists. We're taking applications for performance art and for vendors who want to sell, which the vendor fee is $40 for artists to sell, $200 for restaurants. Now, we are limiting the food to just a few very specific foods.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what kind of different food options are you gonna have?
Well, we're still in the process of working that out, but we want to offer very specific, unique food. So right now I have an ask out to Marlo at Manila because I'm really hoping that he will do some sushi on site. He and I haven't had a chance to meet yet, so I don't know how he's going to feel about me announcing that. And then I do have a meeting planned with Wolfie and Ryan at the Roxy, and I'm also hoping that they bring some different type of food options that we're not used to having at outdoor events, something different, something unique.
Because you don't want the everyday norm, right?
Right. We have discussed, though, having just hot dogs available for kids and some very kid-friendly. It's not a kid-focused event, but it is family-friendly.
That is good, because kids can get picky on what they eat and what they don't eat, especially the little ones.
They're very fussy.
Are you going to have any ride options for, like, the little kids at all? Or?
Nope, that's not this type of event. This is an event that's really arts for your senses. It is an art-focused event, and again, it's a very family-friendly, and it's I would never discourage anyone from bringing a family down. It will be completely family-friendly, but it is not family-focused.
Are you going to have a kid art area, like for the little ones, because we can't leave them out if they want to come down and experience.
Nope. We have caricature artists that will be on site doing drawings, and we will have balloon makers and face painters that will be on site as well. So, like I said, there is stuff for the kids. It just is the demographic is a little bit older, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think it would be crazy if you didn't bring your family down because there is going to be so much to see and so many different things for kids to do and learn about art. And I just personally, I think watching those artists do those big walls will be amazing.
What would you say to somebody within our remaining minute here? What would you say to somebody that wanted to maybe not be a vendor but to volunteer? Do you want to give a shout out to the community?
Yes, if you would like to volunteer, or if you're an art vendor, or you're a performance artist, or you're a musician, I have a few openings for musicians yet. But if you are interested in volunteering, please reach out to us. We would love to have you. It will be a nighttime event. It could be cold. It will get canceled if it rains. And we will also be looking for volunteers for September 19th. And we would love to have you. And again, if you know any vendors, art vendors, or anyone that wants to come, that does need to be art focused, it can't be commercial products, again, reach me at camelcrisp@gmail or on our Facebook page, Oshkosh Into the Night.
Again, this is Edward Castron for making it happen. Thank you.
Thank you.